Hello, Internet! So nice to see you. As many of you know, probably most of you at this point, I have a new free ebook available. So get it here because it's free and it will make you sound way better.
Intellectual property is a myth anyway. You can't own a sequence of sounds. There is no stealing licks.
Intellectual property is not a myth, it's a real thing. And I say this very concerned for the future of music. Because if we have no way to let musicians enjoy the fruits of their production, okay, if there's no way for musicians to monetize their music, we are going to find ourselves with no new music because those people cannot make a living with that, okay? This is what's going to happen. So, intellectual property is real. You can own practically anything. Can you own a chord? No, because that's too common. Just like you cannot own a color, for instance, even if some people have actually patented colors. Or you cannot own other things. You cannot own a brush in art and all this kind of thing. Like you cannot own the idea of a guitar. You cannot own a chord. Sure, but you can totally own sequences of sounds if you wrote that melody, if you make the effort, if you put in the work to create that melody, whether you believe melodies are created or discovered, whatever, it still works, you deserve that melody, and you deserve everything you can get from that melody. If you can sell the melody, or make a song, sell the song, perform the song, be paid for performing the song, you totally deserve that. That's absolutely natural, guys, okay? When you work on something, you are just entitled to the fruit of your labor, no more, no less. And if you think differently, and you think, no, information should be free, we should just put music free, you are taking the bread out of the mouth of musicians. Just think about that, okay? Because I know you have in mind all the big rock stars and you're thinking, those people are rich and they don't need all this money. And we could discuss about that. But the vast majority of musicians are regular blokes like you and me, guys, okay? And they make a living with what they do in an honest way. They're honest artisans crafting music for everybody to enjoy. And they think they deserve to get to be paid and to make a living from what they do.
Now show us 10 unethical ways to steal tunes.
I teach only things I know, and so I am completely unable to teach you 10 unethical ways of stealing licks because I never practiced that stuff.
I love this sort of basic stuff. Some of us have big gaps in our education and maybe heard these patterns a million times without really noticing. If more people paid attention to the profundities of simple pop songs, there might be a lot more people writing good pop songs.
Exactly. Writing pop song is actually much harder than it looks. There are a lot of subtle idea in there and a lot of crafting the exact right note, the exact right chord at the exact right moment, a lot of artistry to put the climax of the song in the right position. It is definitely not as easy as it looks. Again, you may like pop or not, and that's perfectly legit. If you don't like pop, no problem. But we cannot for a moment kid ourselves and think that this is easy. It's not at all. And all those small things, all those little things that musicians study and learn really make the difference if a pop song is going to be successful or not, if it's a good pop song or not. It is not a chance that several great musicians have covered pop songs. It is not a chance that several great jazz musicians, for instance, made their fame and fortune by covering pop songs or in general popular songs at the time, okay, in their own style, because the melody, the harmony was already solid, and so they could build stuff on top. They could make it even better, okay? But again, let's not kid ourselves for a moment. Composing pop is not easy, and if you don't believe me, just try.
Your video is about 15 minutes long. By this time, my niece had memorized the fretboard. Trust your way is not the most efficient.
If you can memorize the fretboard in 15 minutes, more power to you! It's great, but you see, that's the point. I never said this is the fastest method. It's probably not. Maybe there's a faster way. What I said is that the method I teach is the method that gives you permanent learning, so you need to do it only once. You go through the whole method, and then you're done. You tattooed those notes into all your synapses, you burn them in, and you will never forget them anymore in your life. Just like riding a bicycle, it's permanent. You do it once, you know it. That's what this method is for. You are perfectly correct in saying that there are faster methods. I know a few of them, and I have not put them in a video. Why? Because you do them once, you put in a lot of work in a short amount of time, then you know your fretboard for a week, and then you start forgetting it. Okay? And it's very unpleasant to put in all this kind of work and then for nothing. Okay? So the method I gave you is the one that gives you permanent results. That said, learning the fretboard in 15 minutes is a feat. So if you actually did that, if this actually happened, that's great. You are very good. So more power to you, and thank you for your comment.
You are too talkative.
Duh, I'm Italian. What do you think? I mean, we are famous for a few things. No, pizza, mandolin, mamma, okay? Good food in general, and because we talk a lot and we talk loud. Now, do you have any other slightly racist comment to make?
I find modulation slightly unpleasant.
That's interesting, because most people find modulation interesting and pleasant. But I do believe you, okay? That's legit. It's a legit position, okay? It's interesting, though, because modulation is being invented precisely to make the music more emotional and with more variety. It could be because of the music you listen to, meaning it could be because you listen to music without many modulations, and so that you grew to like that and dislike the modulation. It could also genuinely be something innate in you, meaning you like to have a single tonal center and not change it. It's legit, but I'm curious. So if you would like to tell me more about that, I'm actually curious about that, because I think you are the first people who tells me that, and I would like totally to know more. So please, if you're seeing this video right now, either write in the comment or write me an email. I want to know more about that.
Once you know the fretboard, how can it help for improvisation?
Legit question. You see, once you know your fretboard, and this is a comment on the video on how to learn the notes on the fretboard. So let's be clear on one thing. Learning the notes on the fretboard is one step on learning the fretboard. It's not the whole thing, okay? But even just when you know your notes on your fretboard, then you start to get an orientation around. For instance, if I am playing an A minor chord, notes are A, C, and E. If I know the notes on my fretboard, I can start playing those notes all around the fretboard, okay? And now, I'm not saying playing only those three notes is the best thing ever to improvise on this chord, but it's something. You can essentially play the same notes of the chord around, and they always work, okay? And that would be one thing. You can start thinking about what are the notes of the chord around the fretboard. If you don't know your fretboard and you have to do this with a fretboard diagram, it's a pain, okay? It's a pain because you have to go, okay, where is the A note? And it's here. You spend more time consulting the fretboard diagram than actually playing. It's a pain. Another thing you can do, if I'm playing a chord like an A minor, then all the A notes will sound the same on that chord, because the A is the root of this chord, and so it will sound, the octave may be different, but the emotional content of the note is the same. It's a very stable note. It's a very stable note on this chord. The third, C, the minor third, will always sound the same, whether you're playing it here or here, here, okay, wherever you're playing it, it will sound the same. It's a less stable note than the root, but still in the chord. And this happens to any other note. Every note over this chord has a meaning, and wherever you play it on the fretboard, it will have the same emotional meaning. And this is important because when you improvise, when you play a solo, why are you doing it? Because you want to transmit emotion to the listener, okay? You're not just filling up the space and the air, you want to transmit emotion to the listener. That's why you like music. If there was no emotional transmission, you would not like music. There would be no liking, okay, to be done. Makes sense? So, when you start thinking this way and you start identifying what are the emotion of those notes, what is the feeling of those notes, and what is the feeling of the combination of those notes, you just gain control of your improvisation, and you get all those kind of guidelines that help you creating exactly the feeling you're going for, whatever feeling that is. And this just by learning the notes, which is the first step of learning the fretboard. Imagine if you do all the other steps. And if you want to do all the other steps, this is the internet, so I have to recommend my courses, and you find them on the link on the top right.